Namaste and a very, very good morning to all of you. I welcome you to my channel, The Outlier. I request you to subscribe to my channel in case you have not already done it. In this presentation, we will be talking about the different types of variables. Now, this becomes very, very important if you're a beginner to understand which variable is what. This is because at a later stage, you'll realize that when you're doing a linear regression, there are certain prerequisites about the variable type. You can't apply linear regression when the variable is categorical in nature, or you can't apply logistic regression when the dependent variable is scale. It becomes slightly difficult to apply these techniques. So, what are these variable types? Why is it important? That is what we will be talking about in this particular presentation. So without wasting too much time, let us dive straight into the different types of variables. Firstly, when we talk about different types of variables, all variables can be broadly classified into two different groups. One is called as a scale variable, and the second one is called as a categorical variable. Question is, what is a scale variable, right? And what is a categorical variable? And why do we need to categorize variables? Now, forget this kind of classification. Let me just explain this with an example. Now, look at the way when human beings want to make sense of the world around us. When we want to make sense of the world around us, always ask a simple question as to how is the data how is data proliferated in the world? How is data generated in the world? Now, many times you see that something which is very, very large and very complex and heterogeneous is broken down into small chunks, into small pieces, because the moment you break it down into small chunks or small pieces, it helps us make better sense of these small chunks rather than something which is very, very diverse and heterogeneous. So when we break down the world around us into smaller chunks, these are called as categories. So as a simple rule of thumb, any word in your vocabulary which is a noun can be called as a category. I repeat, any word in your vocabulary, when you are speaking any word which happens to be a noun, can be called as a category or a categorical variable. Example, when we speak about boy, girl, man, woman, or animal, bird, or tree, living beings, non-living beings. What are we talking about? We have subdivided the world, man and woman, right? Or the different cities. If I want to compare, let's say, Bangalore with Chennai, if I want to compare Delhi with, let's say, Karnataka, if I want to compare Hyderabad with, let's say, Bangalore again, right? So these are different cities. So the moment you talk about cities, state, caste, region, and such things, these are called as categories or categorical variable. Categorical variables help us subdivide the world. It helps us break and it helps us fragment the world so that we can study the fragments in a better way, right? It helps us simplify the world around us. Now, the second thing to my left side, if you see, I have written scale variable. Question is, what is a scale variable? I'm not giving a very, very textbook definition here. I'm not giving a very, very academically sound or a rigorous definition from the point of view of textbook. I'm giving you a practitioner's perspective in this particular presentation. When we speak about scale variable, any variable which is measurable or scalable can be called as a scale variable, or any variable which has unit of measurement. For example, temperature. Take the example of temperature. Temperature can be measured in Celsius or Kelvin scale. So that's an example of scale variable. If you talk about height of a person, my height is 6 feet. So feet is a unit. If you talk about distance from your school to college, distance can be expressed in kilometers. So that again is an example of your scale variable. Height, weight, your revenue, sales, your humidity level, rainfall, temperature, body mass index, all these things are what we refer to as scale variables, right? So we have scale variables and categorical variable. Now, let me just come back to categorical variable. Now, if I want to compare the temperature between Bangalore and Chennai, right? So Bangalore and Chennai, these are the two categories. and temperature will be the scale variable, right? So scale variable helps us measure, it helps us compare the performance between two groups. If you have 20 different stores and you want to find out what is the performance in terms of average sales or average profit or average revenue across these 20 different states, what you can do across these 20 different stores, each of the stores can be considered as a categorical variable, and the revenue or profit or sales can be called as a scale variable, right? So this is how we broadly classify the word scale variable and categorical variable. These are the only two ways in which you can sort of define the variables, right? Now, different softwares make use of different terminologies, but broadly speaking, from the point of view of SPSS, you can call it a scale and categorical variable. Now, when you get into categories, the categorical variables are further subdivided into two groups. The first one is called as ordinal variable, and the second one is called as nominal variable. I repeat, categorical variables are further broken down into two types. One is called as the ordinal variable, and the second one is called as nominal variable. Question is, what is an ordinal variable, right? Focus on the first three letters, ORD, ordinal variable or ordering. Wherever there is ordering amongst the observations of a variable, wherever there is any hierarchy amongst the observations of the variable, you can call it as an ordinal variable, right? Any of your Likert scale variables, which we typically use in a market research setup, is an example of ordinal variable, right? If you have values like strongly agree, do you agree with us? Do you think that a particular brand offers great service, right? This is a question, and let's say there are 5 options: strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. So these are the 5 categories. These are the 5 levels of this particular variable. So this can be called as an ordinal variable because there is hierarchy or there is ordering amongst the observations of a variable, right? I'm again reminding you that I'm giving you a practitioner's perspective. This is not a very, very sound definition from a textbook perspective, but for us to work with these variables and for us to derive insights, it helps to make your own definitions which are useful in real-time analysis. The second type of variable that you may see is nominal type of variable. Right? When we speak about nominal variables, these are just usually the poorest form of variable, right? There is no hierarchy and such things. They are just representations of the data. They're usually names or labels, right? For example, name, PIN code, social security number, your Aadhaar card, all these things are called as nominal variable. Now, if I have to just take stock of this, scale variable is the richest form of a variable because I can do a lot of analysis with the scale variable. Nominal variable is the poorest form of a variable because I can't do too much of analysis with nominal variable. It sort of inhibits the options that I have, right? Now, one question you might ask is, when somebody gives me a scale variable, what kind of analysis is appropriate? So, for example, somebody gives you temperature. What can you do? You can take mean, you can take median, or you can take mode to represent the values of this particular variable. Now, when we talk about ordinal, usually people go by mean, right? Or sometimes you can also summarize ordinal variable using median, right? So these are the two choices that are given, but please take this directionally. Please take this just as thumb rules. The last type of variable is nominal, which can be best summarized using a mode, right? In a nominal variable, decimals and such things do not make much sense. Same thing with the ordinal variable as well. Usually decimals do not have a place. On the other hand, scale variable, when we talk about scale variable, decimals and such things have a place there, right? So this is how you can classify a variable as scale variable or as categorical variable, right? Now, to just sort of further reinforce what I was just saying, let me just give you an example. Now, to buy your daily ration, right? If you walk into any store, right? If you walk into Reliance Fresh, or if you walk into any other retail outlet, Big Bazaar, or one of these things, what you see is that usually, if you walk into any shop in Bangalore, at least, you see the shopkeeper have small bowls of rice, right? He may have different types of rice like basmati, sona masuri, idli rice, dosa rice or steamed rice and boiled rice, right? So he has different types of rice and he gives a sample there. And in front of the bowl, what he does is basically he puts a sticker wherein he quotes the price, right? Let's say basmati rice is quoting 50 rupees per kg. Sona Masuri could be rupees 60 per kg. Idli rice could be 56. I'm just roughly giving you some numbers. Dosa rice could be 30 per kg, rupees 30 per kg. Or steamed rice could be 51 rupees per kg, right? Just think of this simple situation, right? Now, when you take a step back and ask yourself a simple question as to what has the shopkeeper done with this? What the shopkeeper has done is he has categorized rice into different groups. Instead of just quoting the total price or the average price, saying that the average price of rice is 65 rupees, he has broken down, he has subdivided the world into 5 different groups as basmati rice, sona masuri, idli rice, steamed rice, and boiled rice. These are the categories. And price is a scale variable. That helps me understand which kind of rice is more expensive, which one is cheaper. Simple thumb rule to classify variables as scale and categorical. And as we have just now discussed, categorical variables can be further broken down into ordinal variable and nominal variable, right? If you want further examples of scale variable, ordinal, and nominal, let me just make a move on to the next slide. I know that this is text heavy. Please bear with me. These are just simple examples for a scale variable, right? Distance can be measured in kilometer, right? If you're talking about height or weight or body mass index, that's again an example of scale variable, right? Sales price, again scale variable, examples of scale variable, right? Temperature, rainfall, wind speed, humidity level, previous experience, salary, job time. If you're an HR, you'll be aware of these variables. Or in general, people use these variables regularly, right? Population size, per capita income, literacy rate, female literacy rate, infant mortality rate. All these are examples of what we call as a scale variable, right? If you're working for any automobile sector, you'll be dealing with variables like engine size, horsepower, mileage, curb weight. Again, all these variables can be called as scale variables, right? You can take minimum, maximum, mean, median, mode, range, right? Standard deviation for all these variables, right? Just a high-level perspective which helps you understand what's a scale variable. Let me just make a move on to a few examples of ordinal variable, right? Status at a workplace, right? Tournament team rankings, right? What is the performance of a particular team, right? If you have sort of ranked it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 1 being the ranking for topmost performers, then again, that's an example of ordinal variable, right? Order of product quality, right? Product quality and such things, right? What is the order, right? If the product quality is excellent or medium or very, very poor or mediocre, right? So this again becomes some kind of a hierarchy. So you can call it as an ordinal variable. Order of agreement or satisfaction. Usually when we talk about satisfaction level and such things, what is on a scale of 1 to 5, what is your agreement level, right? Do you strongly agree that Sachin Tendulkar is the best batsman the world has seen, right? You may give a score of 1. Somebody may say, no, I don't think Sachin Tendulkar is the best batsman. I think Brian Lara is the best batsman. So in that case, you may obviously choose 5 there. Right? So order of agreement or satisfaction can again be represented as a ordinal variable, right? So these are certain examples to help us better understand the variable types. Right? Usually when we talk about ordinal scale in market research surveys, you see a lot of variables like how satisfied are you with our service, right? In the questionnaire, there will be usually a variable which says how satisfied are you with our variables. The first option could be very unsatisfied, very, very unsatisfied. Second one is unsatisfied. Third is neutral. Fourth one is satisfied. And the fifth one is very satisfied, right? So these are the 5 different levels here. And this can be called as an ordinal variable. We finally come to nominal variables. Right? When we speak about nominal variable, certain examples of nominal variable, gender, right? Males and female can be broken down into males and females, right? Marital status, married people, and unmarried people. You want to understand what is the average spend between married people and unmarried people, right? Name, pin code, state. Which state do you come from? Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, right? Or Maharashtra, so on and so forth. Religion, right? Are you a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jew, whichever be your religion? That's again a categorical variable because I'm categorizing you into one particular group. A person's caste, right? Again, a categorical variable. City, town, month, right? If you want to find out the rainfall in July and compare it with, let's say, August, right? What's the average rainfall, right? So months and such things, usually hours also when you talk about, right? They're all examples of your nominal variable. So to just summarize the discussion that we've had discussion about variable types. What are the different groups of variable? I request you to pay some attention to these variable types, because this helps us at a later stage when we are building model, when we are doing testing of hypothesis, when we are doing other things like ANOVA, or when you're doing a t-test. You need to have a very, very clear understanding as to what is a scale variable, what is an ordinal variable, what's a nominal variable. If you're clear with this, then analysis and such things become very, very simple and easy. With this, I come to the end of today's presentation. I thank you very much for participating in today's discussion. I thank you very much for watching today's video. I request you to subscribe to my videos. I request you to like my videos, and please share it with your friends and colleagues. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you very much.